why most law of attraction does not work, and what the occult has known all along. In this part, Ophiel breaks down the occult laws behind manifestation and the techniques of creative visualization that most authors overlook. If you have not watched the first part, click on the link below. Now, without delay, we get into the heart of the matter with Ophiel. Relax and let the words sink in. Ophiel, the art and practice of getting material things through creative visualization.
Living this material, physical life can be a cruel thing. Millions of human beings suffer from the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, not knowing that they each possess many powers which, if used properly, could enable each of them to control his material physical existence to a large extent and relieve himself of much trouble. One of the unknown, unused powers man possesses is the power of creative visualization. Creative visualization is the name for a magical occult operation, wherein a man creates in his mind's eye or in his imagination the idea image of something or some circumstance or some circumstances he fancies will be of benefit to his physical life comfort and add to his physical well-being, the well-being usually called happiness. Further upon the successful creation of such an image by such a process in the man's imagination, the mental imagination image will become real and come into the daily life of the man and confer the above-mentioned happiness by its presence in his daily life possession. Up to now, endless books have been written, published, and sold describing this magical occult process, calling it by various names, but all names meaning the same thing. Such names as contacting God for your daily supply, or creating circumstances, or 7 steps, as one school puts it, and so on, through many other titles. This book is another one of those kinds of books about those kinds of creative visualization systems. However, in this book, it is my intention to go much deeper into this subject of creative visualization than has ever been gone into before by anyone. I intend to give you all the knowledge and information and practices necessary to enable you to understand and use and practice successfully the great art of creative visualization. And I do this with the sincere hope that by your study of this book, you will be able to use this great art so well that you will be as happy as it is possible for you to be by arranging the physical circumstances of your life to your heart's desire. But before we go any further into a study of a system of creative visualization, I think it proper that we should stop here and ask first a big question. Can and does a system of creative visualization really work? And if, for now, we assume that the answer is yes, then some other questions are in order. Questions such as, how does it work? Does it work for big things? Or does it work for little things only? What is the reasonable truth about it? We can start our consideration of the idea of the existence of such a thing as a system of creative visualization by giving some weight to the old proverb which says, where there is smoke, there is fire. On the one hand, in our material life on this earth, you will usually find that if there exists some kind of an idea, even as a crude superstition idea, there is always some kind of a truth behind it. Therefore, you can take it tentatively that if a system of mental creative visualization had absolutely nothing behind it at all, the idea of such a thing would not even be in existence. Of course, on the other hand, the other old proverb, "If wishes were horses, beggars would ride," can give some weight to the contrary idea that any visualization systems would not work, no matter of what they were or of what they consisted. It does not seem too unreasonable to point out that if such a simple-looking process as merely visualizing what you want and it comes to you, at least it appears that way, would work easily, and there is the snag. There would be no poor people in the world at all, nor any unhappiness if happiness depended upon a material supply of wanted physical things. And there is another snag. In my years of occult research, I have found, as seems to be normal on this difficult, not understood at all physical plane, that the true practical working out of magical occult knowledge principles to and onto the physical plane from the inner planes is about in the center or middle of the two extremes, working, not working. Apparently, creative visualization systems work for some people and apparently do not work for other people. If a visualization system does work, it will apparently work certain times and apparently not work certain other times. Again, a visualization system will work apparently for some people instantly, and again, for some other people apparently never work at all. And to sum this up, it could be truthfully said that systems of creative visualization appear to be a poor hit and miss proposition, and cannot be depended upon for constant results, especially on the physical plane where results must be as expected and must work out properly, always, so as to be known as something successful.
What Ophiel is referring to here are the different planes of existence, from the physical to the non-physical, or more subtle realms, also known as the inner planes. Occult workings are done to influence the inner planes, which in turn bring results or effects down into the physical plane. However, there are many intricacies involved in this process, and what Ophiel is elucidating here is that our success or lack thereof comes from our ability to correctly bring the desired things from the inner planes and into this physical one, which has many laws and limitations that we have to get around.
Now, after much study and experience, I believe I am in a position to be able to elucidate an important statement as to the apparent whys of the above workings and non-workings of the occult creative visualization process. And that statement is, the art of creative visualization depends, for its successful operation, upon correct knowledge, correct understanding, and correct rigid following of definite rules. To be a little more specific, the art of creative visualization and all other occult work involves work done on other kinds of planes, in addition to the work done on the physical plane. And how to do inner plane work means knowledge, knowledge, and more knowledge, and then practice based on that knowledge, and more practice and more practice. In creative visualization work, all the planes involved in our cosmic existence are used: the etheric, the lower astral, the higher astral, the mental plane, and the causal plane. And all these planes have definite rules and laws from which they will not deviate one iota. And so the rules of all these planes must be followed closely if you are to expect good, final, physical plane end results from the preceding inner plane operations. Then, even when and if these laws are followed closely and intelligently and correctly, there can be other local and cosmic conditions which can prevent occult techniques from working temporarily. Some of these will be noted later on in this book and explained separately. I am going to list a number of inner plane laws.
Here, Ophiel gives a bit more detail about the inner planes. In esoteric traditions, they are mainly known as going from the most dense, the physical plane, to the etheric. This may be familiar to students of yoga as the pranic realm, or to others, especially healers, as the energy realm. Then on to the lower and higher astral, the mental and the causal. There are higher planes that Ophiel does not cover here, like the soul or atomic plane, onto the monad, and then pure infinite consciousness. The names and details differ across traditions, but all esoteric traditions have mapped these realms. For our purposes here, manifesting things into the physical realm, we work on the physical, etheric, astral, mental, and causal planes. All these planes have their laws, and we must learn how to work within all of them properly. This is why results can seem hit and miss. If you don't know the laws of these planes, your visualization won't fully land in the physical. Ophiel separates the book into an explanatory section, where he details each of these laws in order of importance. Then, in the second section, he sets up the operational technique for each law and gives practices. But we will, in coming sessions, cover each law and the techniques and practices to operate it together, so that you may have time to put the knowledge into practice between posts. Now, we will continue and conclude this introduction with Ophiel's list of the laws.
Please pay close attention to each law, technique, and practice as it is introduced in the book. Make a very strong attempt to understand and master each in turn. Your individual mastery of these laws and their practices will constitute your final mastery of the great art of creative visualization and prepare you to master other occult laws. The following laws govern the art of creative visualization. I will devote a section summary of study to each of these laws. The object of these studies will be to change the law into a personal technique for your use. Make the best effort you can to master these laws. Never give up. In the event you do not succeed in practicing these techniques so perfectly as a master would practice them, it would mean only that it will take you a little longer to accomplish desired results. I will first give a brief description of each of these laws and outline some details of its method of study. Law number 1. The occult law of physical visualization. For a creative visualization to be successful, the first thing necessary is for the operator to mentally create a visible mental picture of the thing or the circumstance wanted. This kind of mental visual creation the average person cannot do easily, but unless this mental creation is done, the creative visualization work cannot proceed to a successful conclusion. Law number 2, the occult technique of physical visualization. The technique law is described and directions given for carrying it out. Law number 3. Continuation of the first 2 laws with more detailed directions for the making of the symbols for visualization practice and some additional instructions. Law number 4. The occult law of the sphere of availability. This law is one of the most important factors in the magical operation of creative visualization. To my knowledge, this law has never been taught before. The lack of knowledge of this law is the cause of all failures in attempting to use the art of creative visualization. The practices of this law will be found in the latter part of this book, in connection with the case histories. Law number 5, the occult law of limitation. This is another important law, the lack of knowledge of which prevents the working of the creative visualization art, but perhaps a little less than some of the other laws. However, I guess I had better stop saying this has never been taught before, because none of these distinct laws have ever been taught before that I can find. I do not mean that I am the sole discoverer of these laws, or they have never been printed before. I mean that these laws existed before, but their direct connection with magical occult work had never been established as clearly as they are now in this book. Also, the practices of this law of limitation will be given in the latter part of this book in connection with case histories, as will all the rest of these laws' practices. So I will not repeat that again. Law number 6, the occult law of binding. This is another unknown law that greatly affects creative visualization work. Understanding this law and working with it can greatly assist your creative visualizations. Law number 7, the occult law of the barrier. This law governs the art of changing words into emotions and emotions into words. Attempting to work creative visualization with words alone or emotions alone is a difficult process. Understanding this law can make your work more effective. Law number 8, the occult law of the treasure chart. A treasure chart or map, as it is also called, is a visual aid to creative visualization work. A correctly made treasure chart is of tremendous value in creative visualization work. Full directions are given for making this magical tool. Law number 9, the occult law of emotions. The part that emotions play in creative visualization work is usually referred to but little more. Here, a full explanation is given so that you will understand the part emotions play and can take full advantage of them. Law number 10, the occult law of the reversal of planes. Ordinary English words are not very good when it comes to explaining the very fine metaphysical operations of inner being things. Thus, the fact that all planes are reversed to each other is almost unknown to many occultists. What is going on one plane is coming on another, and then this reversal also becomes reversed at times. The lack of knowledge of this reversal of planes is another reason why much ordinary creative visualization work fails.
These are the laws of manifestation, as outlined by Ophiel. Ophiel then addresses the most common questions that people have regarding this information.
If there are so many other books on this subject already written, why then another book?
And the correct answer to that question is, yes, there are lots of books already written on this subject, but the instructions contained in those books do not always work so well, or, let us say, do not work so well as to preclude the introduction of another book on this subject. And your next natural question would be,
if the instructions given in those other books did not work so well, then how did the authors get away with writing books that contained instructions that did not work?
And the correct answer is, those instructions, as given in those books, did work, but only for the authors of those books. What these questions and answers add up to is this. Due to a particular personality quirk, which these authors alone automatically, naturally possessed, these authors unconsciously did all the techniques of the creative visualization work properly and thus the process works for them successfully. Once these authors get a creative system working for themselves, they hasten to write a book about it, and usually having money, they get the book printed. Then occult students hasten to buy the book to get the magic system to work for them. And the magic system works sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't, depending on how closely the student is like the author in personality peculiarities of the same type. It never seems to occur to those authors that their process might not work for others as it did for them. They publish their personal, empirical system of creative visualization, and not a word is said about the principles upon which their system is based. In fact, so natural might their working of creative visualizations be that they don't even know about any basic principles. It is strange, but there are people like that in the world. People who do things right the first time they try, without any previous training at all. However, I was never one of those kinds of people. I had to learn how to do things through learning their basic principles and then work them through and by their principles. I cannot learn any other way. If you are one of the natural workers, then you are lucky. So now I will repeat myself again and say, in this book, the laws governing the art of creative visualization are listed, and each of them are going to be explained to you in detail, and the basic principles of these laws laid out for you to understand. Then, through understanding, you will be able to adapt these laws to your personal uses or needs and use them. The existence of principles, techniques, and rules which can be learned and practiced or used shows that this work of creative visualization is an art, and an art of which we can all learn something, and many of us a great deal, and many of us can become masters of this art. Mastery of the art of creative visualization is a big step towards the mastery of the art of life. As a matter of actual fact, you are using creative visualization every second of your living life. None of us are very successful in living and having the kind of life we would like to have, and yet everything we have that we do not want and possession of which makes us very unhappy, we created ourselves, for ourselves, and by ourselves, by our own mental powers. Naturally, we did this creating ignorantly, but we did it nevertheless. As I said before, the time can come, and we hope this book will hasten it for you, that you can take and will take your own personal divine powers into your own hands and direct the right use of this power. And then, only will you begin to use your divine powers as they should be used and as you should use them, in the right way and for your own benefit. What does using your powers for your own benefit mean? Basically, it means that we all use our basic creative powers every second of our lives, but we use these creative powers wrongly. What does using our creative powers wrongly mean? The most outstanding thing it means is using our creative powers ignorantly. Our present daily use of our creative powers is like giving a baby a gallon of nitroglycerin to play with. Some other misuses of our creative powers are spasmodical use of the powers. No definite sharp idea of knowing exactly what you want to do or to be or to have. There are other endless misuses of our powers, but these two are enough to throw a monkey wrench into the best life in the world. How to handle your powers properly is the subject of this book, and will be explained as we go on. For now, all I want you to know and understand is that there are two things necessary for the successful use of this creative art, and they are, 1. The knowledge that you have great creative powers, and 2. The knowledge that you have heretofore used these powers ignorantly and hence wrongly all your life, but now you are to learn to use these powers correctly. So now, knowing that the successful use of the process of creative visualization is possible to all of us, in some degree, through the right use of basic principles, we can go on from there.
This concludes the introductory part of this work. There is something we would like to add and clarify here. Some students of manifestation incorrectly understand some principles and become scared of their own thoughts, deeming them too negative and trying to fake positive thinking all the time so that they do not create or attract bad things. This is an incorrect application and reflects a superficial understanding of human psychology. Random thought strings do not create reality. A habitual pattern of thought that has become character then becomes destiny. Instead of being scared of your thoughts or feelings, observe them to understand who you are. Then choose to apply the practices we cover in this book that will, through daily practice, reprogram your subconscious and change you from the inside out so that you don't have to grasp onto fake, plastic thoughts that do not represent the rich uniqueness of your inner being. Another major misunderstanding of these teachings is victim blaming. This is the perversion of blaming people who have fallen victim to violence, illness, crime, and so on for their own misfortunes. Understand this. The reason that we have been unable to use our creative power fully to our benefit is not from some moral defect on any individual's part, but because the awareness of this power has been hidden from us and forbidden. To blame someone for their illness or for being a victim of abuse is a complete lack of compassion and an indication of callousness that is out of accordance with the laws of spirit. Let us use these powers to become better people and not to destroy our fellow men with incorrect and ignorant judgments. To lose compassion for our fellow beings is to truly fall into darkness. Avoid any so-called spiritual teachers who speak in this language. We are in this physical plane to learn mastery, and we will make mistakes along the way. Each so-called mistake is an opportunity to align more to our true spiritual self and source. Always have compassion for the process, for yourself, and for others, as compassion is one of the highest qualities of the soul. Next time, we delve into deeply the laws of creative visualization and go into practical exercises and rituals to develop this magical capacity. Like and subscribe to show us that this information is useful to you and to receive a notification of the next post. Keep re-listening to this video and the last one to fully allow your subconscious mind to accept its creative powers and birthright. In the meantime, arise and awaken.